What's up, Met fans? Welcome back. Talking Mets and Rob. How's everybody doing? Before I get started talking about the Mets week in review, don't forget, guys, if you enjoyed this video, hit on that like button. If you enjoy all my content, want to see more, want to get notified when I go live and when I post my videos, hit on that subscribe button, everybody. And don't forget, guys, leave a comment below under this video to let me know what you think of the week so far with the New York Mets, as they played 2 series so far against the Mets and the Phillies. Alright, guys, so what we're going to do right now, we're going to talk about the main reasons why the Mets are 2-3 right now and are one of the worst teams in baseball when it comes to runners in scoring position, and we'll look at the starters so far and how they have done in the first week of the season for the New York Mets with the 5 games that they already played. So the first person that we are going to talk about, it's been talked about all over sports talk radio, in the newspapers, social media, everywhere you look, is the guy who is a free agent after this year, and that is Michael Conforto. So, Michael Conforto, he was talked about so much over the last couple of days with sticking his elbow out against the Marlins on opening day at Citi Field. There was a whole bunch of things with him, but the biggest thing right now is him not playing well offensively so far. Now, we're going to look at his stats, and we're going to look at his situational hitting with runners in scoring position, with men on, not men on. It's just a lot of things that we will look at with Michael Conforto. So when it comes to Michael Conforto and his stats so far, he's had 21 at-bats, only 3 hits. And that comes out to a 143 batting average, everybody. That is just absolutely something that we cannot have from Michael Conforto in the middle of this lineup. We just cannot have that. And if you look at the rest of his stats, he has 8 strikeouts in 21 at-bats. 8. That's nearly half of his at-bats. And he only hit 1 extra base hit, which was a double in Philadelphia. He just has not been looking good at all. And that's a major concern, especially for a guy who we expect to be a guy who's supposed to be producing runs, to have 85 to 100 RBIs. That's what we're looking for from Michael Conforto. If he wants the big payday, this is what we need from him. We can't have 1 or 2 months of batting 400 and the last 4 months batting under 200. It's just not something that you're willing to give somebody $150 million for. It's just not going to happen. Now, when we look at the situational hitting with Michael Conforto, it's obviously not good. You can just tell by his stats, but we're going to look at it right now. He is 2 for 10 with runners in scoring position. That's a 200 average. Runners in scoring position with 2 outs, a little better. He's batting 400, but he hasn't had many opportunities, but he's 2 for 5 right now. With the bases loaded, nothing. 2 at-bats, batting 0. After a 1-0 count, batting 200. After a 1-0 count, batting 100. These stats are not good. It's really, really, really not good. And the biggest problem with Michael Conforto right now, you can tell he's pressing. You know, the pressure is on him this year. He's getting booed by the fans. Michael Conforto needs to step it up, get it going, and be the bat that we thought he was going to be in 2020, like he's going to be in 2021. That's what we expected from Michael Conforto. He wants a big payday. You know, he has been very outspoken about the money he wants, about the big payday, but it's obvious. Scott Boras is his agent. We know what he's looking for. He's looking for a big-time payday, and that's obvious. But if he's doing this all season, he ain't going to get a big payday. So that is Michael Conforto right now, one of the worst players right now in runners in scoring position and overall stats right now in this offensive lineup that we thought was going to be a juggernaut. So far, it is not looking good for this team. So the next guy we're going to talk about in this lineup is Francisco Lindor, the big $341 million man. Now, I wasn't expecting him to jump out of the gate and be great, but it's just not doing it for me right now. He is just in the middle of he was batting second. You know, in that spot, he's supposed to be one of the guys that, you know, gets on base, you know, to set up the inning for the big boppers behind him. He hasn't really been doing that. And when we look at his stats right now, He is batting 176, which is 3 for 17 overall so far in 5 games. He has 2 runs scored, he has no extra base hits, and he has 1 RBI. He hasn't been striking out that much, and he has 4 walks, so he's been getting on base for the most part. But he's batting 176, and that's not what you expected from a guy who is supposed to be the superstar of this team. Even though he's not supposed to be the face of the franchise, but when you're making that much money, you got to produce. You got to get on base. You got to get on for the big batters, especially when you're batting second in this lineup, where I think McNeil is supposed to be. But right now, for every game so far, he's batted second. And he needs to get on base. He needs to produce. And, you can't put him in the tool and expect a lot of RBIs from him, because it's very hard to, build up RBIs when you're batting second. You're a table setter as of right now. That's why I don't like Lindor in this lineup. I think he's better as a third hitter. And that's what I'm expecting going forward after this week that we've seen not a lot of production through this offense. I think Francisco Lindor needs to be batting third in this lineup so he has guys on base so he can produce. And you can't pay him that much money and make him a number 2 hitter. It just does not make sense to me. And when we look at his situational hitting so far, he hasn't had a lot of at-bats with runners on because, well, he's batting second. And that's why, you're not paying this guy this much money and batting him second and not being able for him to drive runners in. He's had 3 at-bats with nobody on. He had 2 at-bats with runners in scoring position. He scored a run. Runners in scoring position with 2 outs, he hasn't had the opportunity to have that. Bases loaded, he scored 1 run. He had 11 at-bats with an 0-1 count. He has 3 hits. With a 1-0 count, he has 6 at-bats, 2 runs scored, 3 walks. Not terrible. But, when you're batting 176, it's not what you're expecting. But I really think Rojas needs to put him in the 3-hole so he can have the opportunity to get runners in scoring position and drive them in. And I think he can do that. And I think he will do that. You can't have this guy batting second and expecting much from him when you're basically making him a table setter, which the guy on the team that is the table setter in this offense and in this lineup is Jeff McNeil. So I expect Lindor to be batting third from now on, and I think Dominic Smith's going to move up in the lineup and push Michael Conforto back until he gets going again. So that is Francisco Lindor so far. Not as expected, but I do expect better things for him if he gets pushed out of that 2-hole and bat number 3. The next guy that we were going to talk about that I really think that is going to have a real big year, a bounce back year, and that is Pete Alonso. Now with Pete Alonso, he's had 19 at-bats so far, 4 hits, 2 extra base hits, 1 double, 1 home run. He's batting .211. Not great. I expect it to pick up a little bit. I'm expecting him to be a 250, 260 hitter, not much more than that. He is the big power guy in this lineup. So that's what I'm expecting right now. He does have 7 strikeouts and 19 at-bats. That's worrisome, especially when you see Conforto have 8 strikeouts in a limited number of at-bats. It's just something that they got to get better with. I don't know if they can get better with the strikeouts, but situational hitting is one of the biggest keys that we'll look at in a second with Pete Alonso. But Pete Alonso is the guy who is going to have the most RBIs on his team. I'm expecting to have the most RBIs on his team, probably right in front of Dominic Smith, that we'll talk about a little later. But Pete Alonso has to be the guy to drive in these runs, with Brandon Nimmo and Francisco Lindor and possibly Dom Smith or Michael Conforto in front of him. These guys got to get on base for him. He will produce. I'm expecting 35 to 40 plus home runs and nearly close to 100 RBIs. That's what I'm expecting. I'm not expecting a big batting average around 250, 260. But in 19 at-bats so far, he has 7 strikeouts, 4 walks, 3 RBIs. He does have 1 home run. But it's something that I think he's got to get going. He's got to get that average up. The runners in scoring position are a huge issue that we're going to look at right now. When it comes to Alonso and his situational hitting, he's had no runners on, no outs, 6 at-bats. He's hit a double. He had an extra base hit. That's the 1 hit he has. Runners in scoring position, he had 7 at-bats. He's had 1 hit and 1 RBI. Not perfect. He has a 143 batting average with that. Runners in scoring position with 2 outs. He's 0 for 6. He's had 1 walk and 2 strikeouts. Not good. Not what we're expecting. He needs to produce. And after a 1-0 count, 3 hits, he's 3 for 7, 2 runs, and a home run with the 3 RBIs. So he did produce that one time with a 1-0 count with runners in scoring position where he hit that 3-run bomb. He's batting .429 in that situation when the count is in his favor. Pete Alonso is another one that we need him to produce runs. There's no doubt about it. This team is not going nowhere quickly if Pete Alonso does not hit and produce and score and get a lot of RBIs for this team, because that means the guys in front of him are not doing the job getting on base, and he can't produce those runs. It's a major problem. This is what we're seeing right now with the Mets through 5 games, and that is Pete Alonso's stats and situational hitting so far. Now, when it comes to Dominic Smith, his stats right now are looking a little better than probably everybody on the team at the moment. This is the last guy I'm going to focus on within the lineup, because I think it's very important to focus on this lineup and the big boppers in this lineup that are needed to produce for the Mets to go anywhere in 2021. So when we look at Dominic Smith's stats, he's had 15 at-bats. Obviously, he didn't play on opening day. He's had 2 extra base hits. He was 4 for 15 so far. That's a .267 batting average. He's had 1 home run, 3 RBIs, 6 strikeouts. The strikeouts are a little high, but again, everybody in baseball strikes out nowadays, so it's just what you see in baseball right now. But Dominic Smith, I think, is one of the best pure hitters on his team all around with the power. I really think he's going to be one of the best I think he's going to have one of the best averages in this lineup, right below McNeil, when McNeil starts to pick it up a little bit. I think Dominic Smith can be a .280 hitter. I really do believe that, with about 30 home runs, and he could probably knock in 90 RBIs, no doubt. I really think that he's going to have a really big year for us. He needs to play every day. I don't want to see him out of the lineup because there's a left-handed pitcher. Dominic Smith needs to be in this lineup every day. Nobody can question that. We know his defense is not great in left field, but he's looked pretty decent in left field so far with the 5 games of the season so far. When it comes to Dominic Smith's situational hitting, he is 3 for 6 with nobody on. He has an extra base hit with a double. Runners in scoring position, he is 0 for 3 right now. Runners in scoring position with 2 outs, 0 for 1. With runners in scoring position, and he is not leading in the count. He's 0 for 1 on the count. He is 0 for 5. Now, when he's ahead in the count, he has 9 at-bats. He's 3 for 9. Has 1 home run, 2 extra base hits, and 3 RBIs. Dominic Smith, I think, is going to produce for this team, but I really do believe putting him in front of Alonso in the 3rd spot is a really, really, really big thing. And I do think that Dominic Smith he shouldn't be batting 5th or 6th. I really think he should be in the top 4 in this lineup. And moving Conforto back, I think, is only going to help this team. And, if you have a situational hitting lineup where you have Nimmo, McNeil, Lindor, Dom, Alonso, somewhere in that order, I really think can be a major, major increase in offense with this team. I don't like the way it's set up. I don't like Lindor in that 2 spot for the most part, even though I expect him to be there probably, but I do expect McNeil to be up in this lineup. I really like McNeil up in the lineup, and Dominic Smith needs to be between the 3 and the 5 hitter in this lineup, where I think he could do the most damage in this lineup and really, really put pressure on the other team. And Dominic Smith is going to be the best hitter, one of the best hitters in this lineup, offensively with batting average and power. And I really do think that Dominic Smith is going to be a huge surprise, even though not a lot of people are surprised by it anymore. But I really do think that Dominic Smith can be even an all-star candidate and even possibly get some votes for the MVP. I really do believe that, because I think he'll have a better batting average than most expect. I think he can have a 275, 280 batting average. I think he can knock 30-plus home runs and knock in 90 to 100 RBIs. And that's what I'm expecting for Dominic Smith right now. But as of right now, Dominic Smith looks the best with runners in scoring position right now. I do trust him when there's guys on base. more than anybody in this lineup right now. And if Dominic Smith's going to be the only one doing this, we're going to have a huge problem in 2021. But Dominic Smith right now is the guy, is looking good with runners in scoring position, and we need the rest of the team to start picking up, because right now we are not looking good with runners in scoring position. To give an overall stat with this lineup so far, the New York Mets are batted 167 with runners in scoring position. They're 6 for 41 in 5 games with runners in scoring position. 6 for 41. And we're 2-3 on the season so far in 5 games. 6 for 41. It's the same issue with this team over and over and over again. For the last couple of years, runners in scoring position has been a huge problem, especially in the beginning of the year. You can't have a batting average of 161 or 167 with runners in scoring position and have a stat of 6 for 41 runners in scoring position and expect this team to go anywhere. The Mets got to get it going, and it's starting with the series against the Phillies today. We got a 4-game series against the Phillies, and we have a 3-game series against the Colorado Rockies, a 3-game set for the weekend. So we got 7 games, 7 days in a row. The Phillies and the Rockies. We got a 4-game set with the Phillies. The Mets got to get it going with runners in scoring position. 641 is not going to cut it, and that's the biggest problem as of right now. Now, to recap the Mets rotation so far. Obviously, the rotation has not been an issue. Now, I was a little concerned about it, especially with Stroman and Walker. You know, they're not the big-time guys that should be in this rotation, but the injuries of Carrasco and Syndergaard, we have to rely on them. We understand that. But the rotation has looked solid, and that's very good. And you know what? They haven't really gave up a lot of runs, and it sucks to see this lineup not producing, because we should be better than 2-3 right now. I really think we should be 4-1, especially the first game of the Philly series and the third. You know, with the first game of the Philly series, I think we should have took 2 out of 3, and it's just not something that I was expecting for this rotation to be really, really good. And so far through 5 games, they've looked really, really good. And to look at the stats of the guys in the rotation, we're going to start with, obviously, the ace of the staff, the best pitcher in baseball, Jacob deGrom. So, Jacob deGrom obviously had 2 starts so far. April 5th against the Phillies and April 10th against the Marlins. So, look what he has done so far. I mean, amazing. Against the Phillies on April 5th, He had 6 innings, which I think it was a big fault of Luis Rojas only making him go 6, and a big key of why we lost that game, because we decided to trust the bullpen in a deGrom start. 6 innings, 3 hits, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts, and a 0 ERA. He didn't give up no runs. No runs at all. 7 strikeouts. I mean, Jacob deGrom is amazing. And to continue to not make him pitch again and again, a little further in the game, I really think does hurt his stats and giving up a chance to win a ball game. And even though we're going to look at the Marlins game really quick, the Philadelphia game, I really thought that the Phillies were, you know, they were obviously undefeated at the moment when deGrom pitched in the 4th game of the season with the Phillies. I really thought that pitching him at least until the 7th inning really would demoralize the Philadelphia Phillies lineup, even though they were on a real high right now. And it really did suck, because I really think the Phillies just were not going to win that game at all. And the bullpen blew it. And when it comes to the Marlin game, Jacob deGrom was amazing. 8 innings, 5 hits, 1 earned run. He gave up that home run to Jad Chisholm. And he had 14 strikeouts. I mean, 14 freaking strikeouts. You pitch 8 innings and you lose the game. The Mets could not score a damn run in the ball game. And then when Diaz came in, he gave up 2 extra runs for the Mets to lose 3-0. I mean, my God. He has a .64 ERA in 2 starts. He is amazing. He is on a Cy Young track yet again. And this Mets team can't even get him a win. And he has a loss. DeGrom pitched 8 innings, gave up 1 run, and lost the game. Terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. And the Mets got to do better in DeGrom starts, and we've been saying that for years. The next guy that pitched really well is Marcus Stroman. He only had the 1 game against Philadelphia. He was supposed to pitch yesterday, but unfortunately, as you guys know, it rained out, and we lost him because whoever decided to make the final decision decided to start this game and waste Stroman, which is our number 2 starter right now. You can't do that. You can't have that happen. But Stroman was great. Really, really good against the Philadelphia Phillies. The 1 game we won in Philadelphia, he had 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run. He gave up the home run, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, 1.5 ERA. Very good. I expect Stroman to continue to do this, even though I'm not a big fan of his. I'm rooting for him because he has the Mets across the chest. He has looked very good, and I expect him to be even better. If he pitches this all the time, I take it every day of the week. So Marcus Stroman has looked good so far, and now we're going to go right to Taijuan Walker. Taijuan Walker is another one who I think looks really well. And he pitched a home opener, 6 innings, 4 hits, 2 earned runs, 4 strikeouts. He had a 3 ERA. He stumbled a little bit in the 6th inning, but he was still pretty good. I will take 2 runs from him every day of the week, 6-7 innings. I will take that. And if it wasn't for McNeil hitting that home run in the 9th, the Mets and Conforto's elbow, the Mets would have lost that home opener, and we would only have 1 win on the season. But right now, Taijuan Walker has looked good. He's only pitched once as right now. And it looked like it's going to be Taijuan Walker and Peterson in the Philadelphia Phillies starting off. With the Phillies starting off right now. So I expect them to be better. I expect Walker to be the same, if not better. And I expect Peterson to be the same. But Taijuan Walker has looked good against the Miami Marlins on opening day at Citi Field. He looked good. I expect him to be good. This is the guy I wanted in the offseason. Taijuan Walker is very, very good. And I expect him to be even better than he did on opening day at Citi Field against the Marlins. So expect bigger things to come with Taijuan Walker. Lastly, David Peterson. He had a rough go of it against the Phillies in the 3rd game of the series at Citizens Bank Park. 4 innings, 7 hits, 6 earned runs, 2 home runs, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. Peterson did not look good. He the first inning, it was just a disaster. But one thing I do have to say about David Peterson, and I think you guys noticed that too, is that he battled. He kept the team in the game. They had so many opportunities to score runs and get back in this ball game in the rubber match of the series against Philadelphia. They had the opportunity to come back in this game. David Peterson kept it close enough, only to 4 runs early in the game, very early in the game, when the Mets had the opportunity to come back in this ball game. Aaron Nola did not pitch really well. They knocked him out after a couple of innings. And the Mets did not score runs and did not even help Peterson when he battled the last couple of innings. In his 2 through 4 is when he really, really figured it out, after that first inning. And gave the Mets opportunity to come back in the ball game, but they never scored runs. So, David Peterson, I expect to be better. I really think he's a solid number 4, and I do think he can pitch 5 or 6 innings and gave up 2 to 3 runs per game, and I think we can take that as a number 4 starter. So, David Peterson will get a start against the Philadelphia Phillies in the second homestand of the season with the 4 games set. So, we're going to see basically the entire rotation, except for Stroman, in this series against the Philadelphia Phillies. So David Peterson has looked good. I think battled enough where you can see how good he can be as our number 4. He struggled a little bit, but I do expect him the second time around against Philadelphia. I think he will be better. I think he will go 5 innings. I think he'll give up 2 runs. And I think that we will win that ball game with Peterson. I really do believe. I really like Peterson, and I do think with one of the lefties in the lineup, obviously with Lucchesi as well as of right now, I do think Peterson can be a big addition to this rotation, and I think he will be better. I just think he had a rough start in Philadelphia, and I think he will build on the last couple of innings when he kept his team in the game in Citizens Bank Park. So far with the week, the Mets are 2-3 on the season. You know, obviously with the COVID, we didn't play against Washington, and we had the rain out yesterday against Miami with the finale. But the Mets are 2-3 right now. It could be a lot worse. I expect this offense to get going. I really don't trust the bullpen, but the bullpen needs to be better as well. Offensively, we need to be better than 6 for 41 runners in scoring position, or this team is not going nowhere. The big stars of the week is the pitching rotation. They've pitched really well. They kept this team in the ball game. They had a chance to win almost every game. I would say the Philadelphia game where Peterson pitched was a game that could have been out of reach, but every other game the Mets had a chance to win, and that was big time because of the rotation. And that is your weekly recap for the New York Mets. When they face the Phillies and the Marlins, they're 2-3 right now. Let's see what they can do with the next homestand against Philadelphia and on the road trip to Colorado. That is your next 7 games. Guys, I want to thank you guys for watching. Don't forget, guys, if you enjoyed this video, hit on that like button. If you enjoy my content, want to see more, want to get notified when I post my videos and when I go live, hit on that subscribe button, everybody. I want to thank you guys for watching, and as always, let's go Mets.